What's up everyone, hope you guys are all having a great day today. So last week Nintendo had their first Direct since June and well, it was kind of shit. Honestly, that's more of an understatement. It was shit. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. The announcement with the Mario movie was probably one of the funniest announcements that I've ever seen in any sort of gaming event. I'm excited to see who the final Smash fighter is going to be next week, and Metroid Dread and Bayonetta 3 both still look really good, but that's pretty much where my praise ends for the Direct. It was so fucking boring. Like, literally the highlight of this Direct for me, and I'm sure for most other people, was the casting reveal for the Mario movie, because now we know how much of a train wreck that movie is going to be with the actors they revealed. And I don't know about you guys, but me personally, I love movies that end up being complete train wrecks because they're fucking hilarious. But that's beside the point. The thing we're going to be talking about today is one of the other big announcements they had in the Direct, which is that N64 and Sega Genesis games are now going to be coming to Switch Online. Now, on its own, that's a pretty nice thing. Most N64 games aren't on Switch, and it's now a lot easier to play Sega Genesis games, since previously the only way to play those games were through bundled collections on the Switch. But as with everything Nintendo has been doing the last 2 years, there's a catch. For one, it took them 4.5 years to add fucking N64 games to the Switch. That's probably more than half of its lifespan. And then the big thing is that they want to charge more for this shit to play games from at least 20 years ago, which every single one you can emulate on a PC for free. And before someone says, oh, well now you can take it on the go, you act like gaming laptops or the Steam Deck aren't things. I can literally emulate every single game that's on the NES and SNES catalog of games for Switch Online in a fucking web browser on my school laptop. And I'll be honest, it is pretty nice that games like Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Mario Kart 64, and Banjo-Kazooie are finally on Switch, but it shouldn't have taken them 4 fucking years, much less charge even more for it when they still haven't even fixed the awful online part of the online service. But mini rant aside, today we're gonna be looking at a retard who's defending this shit, and you guessed it, it's Harman Smith. So enough bitching and let's see what YouTube has shout out today.
Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cool and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, and King Dio.
Damn, it looks like Harman Smith got kicked out of his mother's basement and now is living in some sort of garage. I genuinely can't tell where he is. And why the fuck is the camera in 4x3? You know what? Fuck it. I don't even care. At least he's outside for once. I mean, he's still on his computer, but at least he's outside.
With the recent Nintendo Direct, I've been seeing a lot of pretendos trying to find something to hate about the game.
I mean, I don't think people even need to try to find a reason to call that Direct shit. It was shit. Like, probably even worse than the one from February, because at least that Direct had the Smash fighter announced. Like, the two actual announcements for stuff that I'm genuinely excited for are Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Dread. And just think, this entire Direct, there was one game shown that we hadn't seen anything of yet, and it was a fucking Kirby game.
Typical Devil May Cry fans going after Bayonetta.
Wait, Bayonetta 3 is good now? I thought you said it was shit.
You have, like, people shitposting about Kirby and Smash and...
Yeah. Cause Nintendo's only Smash reveal was that a Smash Direct was coming in the following week. Same with Animal Crossing for that matter. Like, why the fuck is the Direct here if not all of the reveals are even here yet?
Just everything else that's been going on. You have a lot of people like trying to desperately find something to hold against Nintendo, but the reality is that like Nintendo is winning the generation quite handedly. Like PlayStation 5 is never going to recover from this. Xbox is never going to recover from this. Like Nintendo is basically dominating the console industry now.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo announced that Jack Black himself will be fucking playing Bowser in the new Mario movie. Absolute domination. Sony and Microsoft are nothing but submissive and readable to Nintendo, if you know what I mean. Like, fuck God of War Ragnarok, we have the Switch OLED.
Now and forever, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So, what we've been seeing now, out of the desperation, is that like Sony fans or the Snoys are looking to the past to try and find something to hold against Nintendo. And
yeah, the retarded ass Sony fanboys who threw a fit when God of War Ragnarok was announced to be coming to PS4. Those are not the people you should be looking at for viable information.
The thing they're really trying to push right now, the thing they really want you to know, is that the N64 had no games.
This, everyone, is what we call straw manning. Nobody mentally sane is saying that the N64 had no games. It had some of the best games ever made in their respective franchises. I mean, yeah, I kinda like the GameCube's lineup of exclusives better than the N64's, but it in no way means that the N64 is a shit console. It just doesn't warrant me paying an extra $5 to $10 to have those games that I've already played for free now on my Switch.
That's what they're trying to do, is that they're trying to attack Nintendo Switch Online by saying that like the expansion pack is not a good deal.
I mean, when you can emulate all of those games on a PC for free and probably even better than what those games can run at on the Switch, is it really that good of a deal? I didn't think so.
Right, like I've seen Review Tech USA try to do this, I've seen like countless posts on 4chan, I've seen people like talk about like, what the fuck is Winback?
And we're still waiting for an answer, Cody.
Who the fuck likes Dr. Mario? Like, lots of things like that, right? People don't want to admit that Nintendo is at the point now where their online service is the best in the industry.
Their online service is the best in the industry.
Except for the online part, of course.
It stomps all over Game Pass, it stomps all over PS Plus. It has all of these classic games available for free, and it's constantly expanding with more.
And as shitty as PS Plus and Xbox Live Gold are, at least the games coming onto those services are games that came out within the last fucking decade.
Like, they're doing all this really great, engaging, cool stuff with their games, and nobody really wants to acknowledge or talk about it. But with the N64 coming, I think we're at the point where people cannot deny that Nintendo Switch Online is a good value anymore.
I mean, I'll say it's a decent online service when they fix the fucking online part of the online service.
With Super Mario 64, with Ocarina of Time, like, with all these 10 out of 10s, like, there are like at least 3 or 4 games in that N64 lineup that I would legit call a 10 out of 10. Like,
that's weird. You wouldn't call every game in the service a 10 out of 10? What a fake Nintendo fan.
Mario Kart 64, Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, and Sin and Punishment. Sin and Punishment, by the way, is hopefully going to get a lot more attention with this service. Really looking forward to that. Love Sin and Punishment.
That sounds like the sequel to the vampire sex story you wrote.
Like, Nintendo Switch Online is going to be very popular going forward. Like,
yeah, popular doesn't mean good. Like Avengers Endgame's like the highest grossing movie ever. That doesn't mean it was fucking good.
The days of like trying to call it a bad service, saying it can't compete, they're over. Like, people just cannot keep doing this. They cannot keep trying to tell you that like Xbox Gold is superior, because like every month you're getting nothing but shit typically.
And every month with Switch Online you're getting games that are like 2 decades old at least.
Like, you're getting like what, a Warhammer game, you're getting like games that you can easily buy on Switch. Like, there's no value to Xbox Live Gold. Like, the way that there's value to playing all these Nintendo classics on one piece of hardware.
Called the PC, and you can do it for free.
Like, if you pay the subscription fee, like, it's a big deal. That is very exciting. But like, the constant attack on the N64 as a console is a byproduct of the 90s, right? Because if you weren't around like in the 90s, if you weren't like aware, like if you weren't aware of like what actually happened during the 90s, Sony was trying everything they possibly could to drive Nintendo and Sega out of the console industry.
Yeah, fuck the Columbine school shooting. What really matters is some secret grudge Sony has against Nintendo.
They succeeded with Sega. They acquired all these partners and they drove Sega out of business. But Nintendo was able to adapt and grow in spite of going up against this massive corporation.
And Nintendo isn't a massive corporation. In fact, one could actually say that Sony was like the underdog in that story, because from what I remember, Sony tried to partner with Nintendo, Nintendo said no, and then the PS1 ended up outselling the N64 by like double its units from what I remember, which the irony in that story is just fucking gold.
And ended up destroying them in the long run, because Sony's own tactics backfired against them eventually.
And that's funny, because I just looked it up and it looks like Sony outsold the N64 by more than triple the N64's sales, and the PS2 is the best-selling console ever.
People don't want to admit the only reason PlayStation was popular was due to Sony's huge marketing campaigns.
And that's not the reason Nintendo's popular? What the fuck?
$100 million, put towards promoting Final Fantasy VII as being the cool alternative to N64. You won't find this on cartridge-based consoles. Yeah, which is why they released it on cartridge on Switch all those years later.
More than 20 years later for a modern-day console. If Final Fantasy VII couldn't run on the Switch, that would be a fucking issue.
Trying everything they could to downplay Ocarina, downplay Mario 64, download these really good, innovative, cutting-edge, next-generation consoles, next-generation gaming in favor of some primitive, limited sort of CD-based format, right?
Is he actually so brain dead that he thinks cartridges can hold more than discs? Jesus Christ.
Just buying into this this hype cycle eventually. The general public initially was tricked into thinking that oh man, Resident Evil, that's not popular, that's not possible on Nintendo. Nintendo would never allow mature games on their platform, but over the next,
Yeah, Nintendo would never allow mature games on their platform, yet Conker's Bad Fur Day was one of the first-party Nintendo games that they released.
The N64 stopped the PlayStation.
Not in sales.
Right? With its multiplayer titles, with its 3D environments, with its vast array of games and all sorts of different genres. The N64, from a pure gaming standpoint, was superior to the PlayStation.
Yeah, I'd honestly agree. There aren't really too many games on the PS1 that interest me.
PlayStation fans don't want to admit that. They'll always try to say that Nintendo couldn't compete, but in reality, what PlayStation game are you playing today? What PlayStation game are you getting excited for on Nintendo Switch?
Why the fuck would I be getting excited for a PlayStation game when I have a Switch? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Basically nothing. Other than maybe Resident Evil, maybe Final Fantasy, maybe Metal Gear Solid, what do you have that could even come close to what N64 offered around that time?
Yeah, honestly, the original Silent Hill is pretty good. I mean, obviously it's nothing compared to Ocarina of Time, but it is a pretty fucking good game.
GoldenEye is still great. Conker is still great. Banjo-Kazooie is still great. Mario Tennis is still great. These are all wonderful games that I will be playing for years to come, for sure.
And all of those PlayStation games that you just listed aren't?
That I had played for years and will continue to play in the future. The fact that they're pulling this out now, the fact that they're trying to attack the N64, it shows how desperate they are. They're desperate to try to convince the public that Nintendo used to make mistakes, that they're a bad company, they don't know how to manage their business or consoles, and that it is inevitable that eventually they will decline into irrelevancy and PlayStation will reign supreme again. But
yeah, and those are the same people that go,
Give Ryan lost touch, bro! That nigga is dumb as fuck!
It just isn't gonna happen. Not now, not ever. And I think I think with the release of this service, once people start like experiencing some of the more niche games on Nintendo 64, like once they start experiencing stuff like, let's see, what's a good example?
I love how he has to take like 5 seconds to name an N64 game because even he hasn't even heard of these games before.
Let's see, Sin and Punishment, right? Like once they start experiencing stuff like that, like they'll really start to understand, like, wow, there's nothing on PlayStation that even comes close to what Nintendo was doing around this period. Like, not even close. Like, a whole generation of people who grew up with Star Fox 64 are going to be exposed to Sin and Punishment for the first time. Like, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, that game is going to get a new legion of fans following this announcement. And I'm excited for that, but the Snoys, the Shills, they are not. And they need to be called out on their nonsense.
And so do you, which is why this video is made. Anyways, I'm done with this shit. I'm tired. I literally couldn't find any other Nintendo fanboys that were defending the N64 Switch online, so I had no other choice than to go with Harman Smut over here. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I'm going to bed. Hopefully I don't see this guy watching me while I sleep when I wake up in the morning. If you liked the video, leave a like and maybe subscribe because I need to hit 1K if you guys want me to do that special strap-on titty stream that I may or may not do once I hit 1K. But as always, I hope you all have a great day.
What are you going to do?